It's got to be one of my favorite cheeses in the world, Parmesan. There's nothing quite like shaving some off of a big chunk of Parmesan cheese onto your pasta. Just hits the spot every time. And it's an amazing cheese to use in cooking. You can cook with it, you can fry it, you can bake with it, and it adds a tremendous amount of flavor to whatever you are preparing. The thing is, though, when you go to the grocery store, most of the time you're picking up this stuff pre-packaged, pre-sliced, and you don't really know if it's any good or not. You certainly aren't getting that aged Parmesan that really has that intense, almost pharmaceutical kind of flavor that you would get from a properly aged wheel of Parmesan. So today we're going to find out how Parmesan cheese is made. We'll talk about what makes good Parmesan, what to look for when you buy it, and why you should consider buying a whole wheel of it next time you at the grocery store. Parmesan cheese is made from a mixture of skimmed and whole cow-s milk, and is one of the oldest cheeses in the world with origins. Dating back to the 13th century, in the Italian region of Emilia-Romagna, the cheese is made by large cheese factories, but also by small family-run producers who follow very traditional methods. And it's protected by a designation of origin-protected status, which means that only cheese produced in that region can legally be called Parmesan. The process begins with the milk, which is heated, and then mixed with rennet, which is an enzyme that causes the milk to coagulate. The curds are separated from the whey, which is the watery part of the milk, and then ground into a very fine paste. At this point, salt is added to the mix along with any additional starter cultures or enzymes that they want to use. This is where a lot of cheesemakers will add things like pepper or other spices. But with Parmesan, they generally keep it pretty simple. After the cheese is formed into wheels, they are pressed to remove any excess liquid, and then the wheels are dipped in hot wax for a traditional cheese bath. The cheese is then aged for a minimum of 12 months, although the best quality Parmesan is aged for much longer. During the aging process, the cheese is regularly washed and turned to prevent mold growth. And this is how cheesemakers can determine the quality of the cheese. A good Parmesan will have a hard, dense texture with lots of small holes. The taste of Parmesan should be strong and slightly bitter with some pharmaceutical notes. The aroma of a good Parmesan will be intense and not have any off-putting odors. Now, if you've ever been to Italy or you've lived there, you may have seen these massive wheels of Parmesan in the stores. They often have these stickers on them with the name of the farm or the producer. And you may think that this is the best Parmesan available, and it probably is. But these wheels can be prohibitively expensive. Not only do you need to pay for the cheese itself, but you also need to pay for the labor involved in slicing it, packaging it, shipping it. If you're buying a really old wheel of Parmesan, you may end up paying a lot more than you would expect. So what should you look for when you're buying Parmesan? Well, first of all, you should try to buy a wheel that hasn't been sliced open already. That way you know that nobody's been cutting into your Parmesan with a dull knife and smearing the cheese all over the place. You also want to look for a cheese that has a nice, tight rind without any cracks or breaks. The color of the rind doesn't really matter, but if it's really dark, it may indicate that the cheese was stored improperly and could have a bad smell or taste. When you cut into the cheese, you should see that it's uniformly colored and doesn't have any mold or discoloration. The texture should be firm and elastic, and it should feel like you're pressing into a very hard piece of bread. The taste of Parmesan should be salty, savory, and numb your whole mouth like an anesthetic. If it tastes sweet or fruity, it's not Parmesan. So the bottom line is, if you find a wheel of Parmesan that looks good to you and smells good to you, buy it. It's going to be good. And if you have a local Italian specialty store, try going there because oftentimes they have better quality cheese and maybe even get a little bit of a discount if you buy a whole wheel of cheese. Well, that's it for this installment of How's It Made. If you like this series, please let me know in the comments below. Also, please like and subscribe. And as always, eat good cheese.